Hello, welcome back to another Swans Cast match preview. I'm joined by Chad from the Red Half of Sheffield. So welcome to the channel, Chad.
Thanks for having me.
Always welcome. Now, I will say before we get into the content of this video that we are recording this just before Swansea play Bristol City. So haven't got any sort of result from that game, from our game week. I know Sheffield did play yesterday, so we could kind of touch on that. But just from a Swans perspective, the league position is not finalised in regards to after this round of fixtures. So just to put that out there ahead of any discussion. I like to begin these videos then with a little bit of a touch on last season, a bit different for you perhaps to most of the teams I've spoke to so far. But I just want to ask in brief, like how did last season go compared to expectations? Would you say you met them or underachieved, or where do you think you were?
Oh, well, that's a loaded question. Well, it's like your friend putting on a boot with a steel toe at the end of it and proceeding to kick you in the balls 35 times out of 38 every 35 Saturdays out of 38 Saturdays every single week. It was a we were doomed from relegation before the season even started based on us selling our best two players, Illiman and and Sander Berg. And then it was just, we plodded along for the first handful of games, lost to Tottenham in like 4 hours of added time or until they scored. And then, as everyone knows, the 8-0 thrashing by Newcastle, and then the proverbial wheels fell off. Heckingbottom lost his job, which I thought was unfortunate. And the only genius to come to save Sheffield United was Chris Wilder. And then results did not improve from there. And yeah, surprisingly, we weren't relegated until 4 matches to go, and that has to do with a lot of the points deductions from Everton and Nottingham Forest. Yeah, and then, like I said, we were relegated with 4 games to go. I really can't say we underachieved because the expectations weren't very high. And then had to do an entirely new squad rebuild. I think the final number out was like 19 players out. I got something like maybe 10 or 11 through the door. So there's a lack in numbers there, as you can tell. And yeah, here we are. We're 7-8 matches into the season. It's a bit of an influx at Sheffield United right now. I'll leave it there. That's a long-winded answer, but yeah.
Yeah, going into this season though, you started okay so far. You're finding yourselves in the playoffs. You haven't lost a game, so that's obviously good. Played 7, you're on 13 points. Would you say that Chris Wilder is maybe getting what he wants sort of through to the players and is kind of working a bit better now with the summer behind him? And he said there's a lot of change with the personnel. So is any of the key players that he's brought in making an impact?
I think he's getting through to them, but the whole thing is I forgot to say that we have absolutely no money. We have the brokest prince in all of Saudi Arabia. That's why we've been up for sale for God knows what is about 3 years now. I think he is a little bit. He got the players that he allegedly wanted, but we just didn't add any depth. There's no creativity once you have the starting 11, because we're probably going to name an unchanged side against Swansea at midweek. And once that 11, the talent drops off and we have to substitute, we just have to bring on the kids who have inexperience and aren't in a sense ready for this level. So he got his players and he's getting through to them. It's just there's only so much you can do with 11 players. and we have no attacking ability up front. If anybody watched our game against Pompey yesterday, I mean, it was basically a rock fight for 90 minutes. They didn't have any chances. We didn't really have any chances. We didn't really do anything going forward. I don't know. In my personal opinion, when they brought Wilder back in, I didn't want them to bring Wilder back in. The only reason they brought Wilder back in is because at the time where we were, in a sense, cut adrift in the Premier League, nobody wanted to come in. So he took a hometown discount, came through the door, and now we're kind of stuck with him. I would have liked to, have him take us into the summer and then replace him with somebody, a new mind, because we were freshening the team up. As I said, bringing in 10 or 11 players, freshen up the team completely with a new manager, coaching staff, but that unfortunately didn't happen, so we're kind of stuck with it. I think he's good enough to, get us to the playoffs. Do I see us going any further than that? No.
Fair enough. I noticed there's a couple of players I want to ask about, just general interest from a Swansea perspective. So you've got Ryan Brewster, who's starting on the bench at the moment. How is his game time looking for you, and how has he been playing? No?
Overrated. We paid 20 odd million pounds for him back in 2020. He's scored a total of, count them, 5 goals. Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn if he was 2 feet away from it. Just can't stay healthy, which is a head scratcher because at Swansea he was so synonymous with scoring. It almost seemed like for fun. I think he had 20 goals, 18 or 20 goals in that season. He was on loan from Liverpool at Swansea. I thought we were getting a great young talent. We brought him in that COVID year. That was just awful. And then he's never been able to find his form. Every time that he looked like he's found his form, the injury bug bites him. And then he's sidelined for 6, 8. And I'm not talking like he's out a couple of weeks. In all of these seasons, he's had a season-ending injury, hamstring, calf, something or another, back injury, where he's missed 6, 8 months. He'll usually play until about October, and then that's about it.
Yeah, he got 11 goals in 22 appearances at Swansea. He was only here for half season, so it was a good output from him. Someone we needed at the time. Really would have liked to see him come back. So it's always been a shame from our perspective to see him struggling ever since he's gone to Sheffield United, because we were always sort of scratching our heads as well as what's gone wrong there. Sometimes I guess a player just doesn't suit the club. Could be a little bit of that. Okay, another one then. Ollie McBurney left in the summer. So someone that you miss or surprised to see go, or happy that he's now no longer with you?
I'll say this. In this team right now, Ollie McBurney, with the chances that Kiefer Moore has missed and not converted this year, Ollie McBurney would probably, safe to say, have at least 6 goals. There was another one Kiefer Moore missed, I believe, yesterday. I don't know. They're all starting. It was either yesterday or against Derby last Saturday. It just, point blank range, he's missing, and it's just like Ollie McBurney would have buried those chances. Now, granted, the injury bug caught up with him too. In the promotion season, that's when he had his best form for Sheffield United. And last year, he was I believe our top goal scorer, despite only playing, I don't think he played about 20 games. He missed a fair few games on the injury table again last year. But I mean, I would have loved to keep him, and I was sad to see him go to Las Palmas in Spain. But at the end of the day, you got to do what's right for you. And they didn't negotiate a new contract, so they just let him go. So I really do. If you could take the two, Ryan Brewster and McBurney, see you, Brewster. I'd take McBurney back in a heartbeat.
It's just to clarify, you're saying McBurney's definitely better than Kiefer Moore then?
Yeah. Yeah. Right now. So I will say this. Kiefer Moore, we thought when we signed Kiefer Moore, we were like, oh yeah, we saw what he did at Ipswich in the back half of last season. Now Ipswich is a promotion team. So they surrounded him with good talent. Now, coming in, he's just, for some reason, he's missing the wide open chances, missing sitters, missing wide open headers. I mean, he's tall as all get out, and they're lofting the ball up, and he's not even, either he's got concrete for shoes tying him to the floor, or, he misses the header and hits it straight at the goalkeeper. Now, I think he's going to get a fair few goals for us. I'd like to see him hopefully get 10 goals. He only has, I think, 1 right now. But it's just one of those deals like, come on, dude, get it together. Let's go, man. We brought him in on, I believe, a 4-year deal.
Oh, really? Surprised. Thought he was on the later end of his career, so surprised that he's got such a long deal. 32 years old.
Yeah, it was surprising that we gave him that much money in that long of a contract. I think it's either 3 or 4 years, which, as you mentioned, 32 years old. I don't really know why you're giving a 32. Because by the time he's at the end of his career, he's 36. If he
And if you go back
again,
up,
he's not
going
to
he's not going to play in the Premier League now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there we are. I'm sure all the Swans fans would like to hear that. Obviously, he's the next Cardiff striker. So, although, we support him when he's wearing the red of Wales. So, there is that side as well. Okay, let's have a look at some of your team then. If you line up with the squad you expect to see, who would be the key players for us to watch out for?
Obviously, the guy that has dragged us to most of the wins, I'd say, is Gus Hamer. If you saw his set piece goal against Derby, it was a really, really, really good quality goal. Raksaki in on loan from Crystal Palace. He looked lively against Pompey yesterday, skinned the defender down the right-hand side numerous times, but then would lump the ball into the box looking for a Kiefer Moore or somebody back stick. There was nobody there. He kind of looks like he needs to put together the final third. He's fast as all get out down the right-hand side. Him and I don't know who's going to start Saturday, or I mean midweek. I keep wanting to say Saturday. Him and Andre Brooks, they're good going down the right-hand side. Then you look at Vinny Souza, who I personally hate. He's a good defensive midfielder, which saying that compared to what he did last year is not very, I'm shocked that he changed that much. And then you have Harry Suter and now Ahmed Hadzic at the back, which keep our back line. We've only conceded 3 goals coming into this game. So our back line has been really tight at the back, and we haven't conceded. So those are just a few players. You can say Callum O'Hare, but he's been so off and on that you really don't know what you're getting out of him. He could have an absolute blinder of a game, and then you could just be like, I didn't know he was on the pitch.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a couple of them over the years. Okay, what about if I flip that question on you? Do you have any players from Swansea City that worry you that could do some damage?
As of right now, I haven't done the deep dive into the Swansea side, but just a quick look at, the side you guys put out last game, as I say yesterday.
Yeah, we're probably going to say today.
Yeah. The lineup that you guys play, I mean, you guys do have a little Welsh influence up at the up at the front. Liam Cullen up there. I mean,
yeah.
I've always been a fan of Ben Cabango too. Good center half. But who should I be worried about? Who should I be worried about?
So generally, the wings is where we are trying to attack do most of our damage. We're not really going through the centre so much. So Ronald, Brazilian winger, and who's come in from South Korea this season, he's getting used to the championship a bit, but they are full of pace, full of tricks, and that's why we're trying to do our damage at the moment. Probably a little bit lacking sometimes in the end product and the decision making. And again, the ball to the striker seems to be a bit of a theme where we're struggling. So that's why the goals are not in abundance. But they're the sort of two players that can get bums off seats, and when it works, it looks nice, and it can be a little bit damaging for the opposition. But if they're not on it, then we perhaps look a bit sluggish and not very creative going forward. So they're the two I would say probably to look out for in terms of ones to watch. Not necessarily where the goal is going to come from, but in terms of making the space and doing all the damage to create opportunities is usually where we try to look. Okay, that's pretty much it for the video, but I do like to ask a question as you did on your own one. A little bit different, but what's been the best ever away day you've been to? It doesn't have to be a Sheffield United away day, but any kind of sporting event, really.
Man, I don't know. That's a tough one. I've only been to home game. I've only been to home games when I've been over to see Sheffield United.
I mean, to be fair, they're all kind of away games for you, aren't they, when you have to travel to get there? So you can talk about one of them if you want.
No, I mean, my first ever time at Bramall Lane. Oddly enough, I've seen games at Bramall Lane, and I've seen games at Hillsborough, home of Sheffield Wednesday. My first ever game at Bramall Lane against Millwall in the promotion season, the second time we got promoted to the Prem. It was just a surreal atmosphere because it's something you can't, from watching from 1,500 miles or however far I am from the UK, I forget it in mileage type, something that you cannot justify watching on an iPad on a streaming pass is the atmosphere inside Bramall Lane when it is rocking. And this goes for all, football grounds over in the UK. It's from top to bottom, whether it's Premier League or it's the 9th division in England. It's all the same. There's just something about going into a football ground, and especially when you see your team win, as we did 2-0 against Millwall on that day. I mean, I remember walking into Bramall Lane and just getting goosebumps from the top of my neck all the way down to the bottom of my back. And it's just in the hair standing up. It's just when that goal goes in and the raucous, when the cop just goes absolutely insane. And it's just one thing that I will never forget. And obviously I want to get back over there. In today's day and age, it's financially, it's an uphill battle to, just get back over there. But I mean, regardless of where it is, at any ground in the UK, I compare a match day to over here in the States to a college football atmosphere where it's raucous. People go out and are in the pubs and, for a lack of a better term, over here in the States, we do a lot of tailgating pre-game, pre-match. It's the same type of vibes. And then when you get into the ground in the stadium, it's just from the first whistle to the last whistle, it's full on, just no, absolutely nuts. And that's what gives me that passion and keeps following every single game and every single match day and almost hanging on it, every last second. It's what makes sport fun, in a sense.
Exactly. No, it is, exactly. Obviously, I've never experienced any sport over your way, but good comparisons there. It makes it sound quite interesting and good to hear a perspective of someone that's perhaps not from the UK and coming over and seeing that atmosphere, because perhaps we take it for granted sometimes, when we go to grounds now, there's no atmosphere at that ground. But I'd imagine when you don't have that at all, everything seems like another level. So yeah, good insight there. Thank you, Chad. Can you just kind of sort of let us all know where we can find the Red Half of Sheffield and what sort of stuff you put out?
Yeah, you can find us on Twitter, at Red Sheffield. We're on Facebook. Instagram. We're on YouTube. The Swansea preview should be out either today or tomorrow, previewing this match. On YouTube, look up Red Half of Sheffield. We do match summaries, match reviews, obviously this match preview every week. Just all kinds of content. I do a live watch along for all Sheffield United games that aren't midweek. So unfortunately against Swansea, I won't be doing one. But yeah, it's over on the Sheffield United way. If you want to come for the reverse fixture, which is probably in actually, it might not be it might not be a midweek. It might be a weekend game, the reverse fixture. Come over and hang out. But yeah, appreciate you having me on, Luke.
No, and thank you for having me on as well. So go check out the Red Half of Sheffield. Obviously, the other previews on there. Thank you very much, Chad, for coming. Good luck for the rest of the season. And I shall catch you probably later on in the year as well.
Cheers.
But having said that, thank you everyone for watching and listening, and we shall see you in the next one. Goodbye.